I think we could all agree that on the whole, most parents want their children to have the absolute best. They want them to prosper, they want them to have good health and go forward and maybe carry their legacy on, that's an ego thing, but also do good in the world and have a fulfilling, healthy, happy life. But there's one thing a lot of parents just never do or get right. I'll talk about that in a minute. There's no parent on this world, on this planet, that never made a mistake with raising their children. We all make mistakes to a lesser or larger degree. And some of the larger mistakes we make, whether they're intentional or unintentional, can really, really be damaging. And you may not even be aware of it. And you, listening to me right now, can possibly think of things that felt like an injustice to you as a child done from your parents. So the one thing that every parent, the one conversation I think every parent needs to have with their children, and I had this a while ago with my kids when they were old enough to understand, is sit down and say, please tell me, is there anything ever that I have done that doesn't sit well with you, that doesn't feel good inside, that hurts you on some level? Now a lot of parents don't want to do that because their children can come around and say, well, yeah, actually you did this, and then the parent has to look at this and look at their shit and own it. The worst thing you could do to your child is have this conversation and then say, nah, that never happened, or God, you've got a good imagination, or try and gaslight them into thinking it didn't happen. That's the worst thing you could do. That's going to damage your child even more, and that can happen. So if you're a parent and you're having this conversation and you don't remember dropping Johnny on his head, just say, hey, listen, son, I really am sorry that you have this memory. I just can't remember it, but I'm hearing you, and I'm sure it did happen, and let's see what we can do about this. How do you feel about this? How does it make you feel? Where would you like to go with this? And one of the things is Johnny just wants to get it off his chest, because Johnny's got this big lump they never knew how it got there, and all he can remember is being dropped on his head. I mean, that's just for argument's sake. I hear parents sometimes say, men particularly, I'll say, how are you getting on with your son? Oh, he's good. And oh, well, he's not that good actually, mate. And he's going off the bloody tracks bit right now. He's smoking too much dope, and he broke in the other night to the warehouse and blah blah blah. And I said, oh yep. And they'll say this to me, oh well, they don't come with an instruction book, do they? And I'll say, well, that's where you're wrong, mate, because there's that much literature out there, and there always has been. Well, maybe the 1920s, 1930s, there wasn't much back then. Now, I'm sure there were books, but I'm 58, and ever since I was a father, I've been able to find oodles and oodles, loads and loads of literature. And today, of course, with the internet, there's a library out there that you could learn everything about a child's development and things you need to do. So that one to me is just an excuse to a parent not owning their stuff. So to my thinking, there's no such thing as really good parents and really bad parents. Well, there is in extreme cases, but overall we all do the best, and we all care about our kids the most and try to do the best. But the difference really is the really good parents are the ones that are transparent, and they own their stuff. They sit down with their daughter and say, let me know if there's anything you've ever felt bad about, and we can talk about this together, and making your child feel they're safe to talk about it. Now on the other side, that'll do, no barking. That's Bigsy barking at the sheep. The other side of the coin is you, and you having grievances with your own parents, and it's never too late to have that conversation. Just understand, as the older you get, chances are they probably don't remember it. Three things are going to happen when you sit down with your dad or your mum and say, hey look, I've got this thing we need to talk about. What I would say to you is, when you go along to them, go with in a place of love to yourself. Don't come from a place of fear, otherwise you won't even probably get through the conversation and say what you really want to say. Just say, hey Dad, can I come over and have a cup of tea with you? Yeah son. He's not doing anything, he's old. G'day Dad, how you going? Shake hands or hug, however you do it. For me it's a shake hands, because Dad's that generation. And sit down and, gee Dad, I'm really glad to see you today. And if you've got a father or a mother that's distant and you've never been close and you can't do that, start the conversation off with like, Dad, you know, for me it's a real shame that we couldn't have ever been a little bit closer than we have been. I wonder what went wrong. That'll give us something to think about. So 3 things are going to happen when you finally get round to talking about this. Either 1, he's just not going to remember, or she's not going to remember, whatever it was you want to talk about. 2, they're going to gaslight you and say, oh, you really think that happened? Or, man, you've got a great imagination, son. Or the 3rd thing is they're going to say, man, I'm really, really sorry to hear that it's affected you this way. I had no idea. And they're going to talk about that. That's the one you want, but you're not necessarily going to get that. So you've got to be prepared for the other ones. But the main thing is you put it on the table, it's out there. And that conversation is one that a lot of men my age particularly are fearful to have with their fathers, and they keep putting it off, and you know what? One day the old man dies and then it's too late. I had that conversation with my dad when I would have been 30. I was on a P&O cruise actually. I wasn't on a cruise, Dad worked on the boat, he was the port lecturer, and we had a fallout and we talked about things afterwards. It was a good talk, and a lot of repair went on. It's really, really important to have these conversations because we talk about so much rubbish with our parents and superficial stuff, particularly with our dads. So I can talk about with my dad anything, but these sorts of matters, they don't often want to talk about it. And I'll tell you why. One simple reason, if they do, they've then got to look at their own shit. And that's where it's hard. So if you've got children, or you're someone's son or daughter, and you feel that there's a conversation that needs to be had, there's no better time than to pick up that phone right now and make a date, have a cup of tea, sit down, chew the fat, and come from a place, love within yourself. Now I know it sounds all very easy, and you'll be maybe someone listening right now that goes, you don't understand, Clay, this happened to me and he would never fucking... Yes, you might be right. You may never get the response you want, but at least you've tried, and at least you put it out there, and you'll go away saying, hey, I've done everything I can do, time to move on. Now there's some people with the mindset that the past is in the past, leave it in the past and move on. That's great. That's great if your child isn't carrying something, or you're not carrying something. But if you've got still hurt and you want to resolve it, or even just understand why you're acting the way you're acting, then that sleeping dog needs a kick in the guts. Wake it up and have a conversation with that sleeping dog, because sometimes it can fire things up. But that's what needs to happen to move forward in your truth, to move forward in a way in life that you're not just sticking your head under the ground like an ostrich when the lion comes along. You're actually looking up at it and facing your fear head on. And once you've done that, man, it goes away a lot. I can tell you that myself from first-hand experience. Okay, brothers, gonna go and do some gardening now while we've still got no rain, because yesterday I was out in the garden and I got absolutely pissed down on, because Damo, that's I'm looking after, he robbed me jacket. I didn't have a jacket, so I worked in my hunting jacket all day, and it wasn't a great jacket for working in. It was my, which one was it? It wasn't my Mick Lagarde. That would have kept me dry. That's too heavy for working with chainsaws and stuff. No, I had my my Game Gear jacket. It started off good, but by the end of the last post I put on, I was drenched. I went home like a drowned cat. Go steady, check on a brother, have that conversation with your children, have that conversation with your parents, and have a great day. See you later.